Hello, hello, hello. This is Thumbs United. We're doing GTA 5, loading up a new game. We're going to do it start to finish. And then, if I feel lucky, I don't mean we're going to do start to finish in all one go, but I'll do a couple episodes of this. And then hopefully we finish it and get to GTA 5 online. Feeling adventurous. Oh, then I'm going to put on subtitles. Where are subtitles? There we go. This week has been quite a week. It was kind of a week of distraction. Distraction and being misled. It's not that dramatic. But didn't get a lot done that I was supposed to get done, but I did learn a lot. Running around. So, kind of the thing that sidetracked me for the week was I was working on artificial intelligence stuff. And it's not really artificial intelligence, it's machine learning. Kind of artificial intelligence implies that it's like there's a consciousness, and that's not the case. Machine learning is kind of just like a really beefy database. And really good search within the database, which is what I was looking for. I'm not doing like AI writing articles. I'm using it for research, and it's pretty cool because Google needs to be worried, which is why I started looking into it, because everyone is saying Google has to watch out, and they really do, because the way Google works is you search they try to link to a whole bunch of websites, and they've said that the longer you stay online, the more money they make. And so yeah, they do search, but they kind of hope you don't find what you're looking for, because they want you to keep coming back to Google, because then you do more searches, and then they put their advertisement on top of the search. And the way it works is they get paid every time they show your ad, and then they charge more if someone clicks on your ad. So the longer you stay searching for something, kind of the happier they are. And so what's interesting about artificial intelligence is you're not searching for different websites. You're searching for answers, and it gives back answers in kind of a human readable format. And so it's like having your own research assistant that can do basic describing. And what's interesting is that, one, when you ask it questions, it can kind of figure out what you're looking for. And so the reason why I say it's not artificial intelligence, it's really a fancy database of like a collection of other written things, articles. Is because what it does is every word has a certain assigned token. And so it doesn't know what you're asking. It just says, okay, this word is this number, that word's this number. And so usually when these sets of numbers are together, it means that they're looking for this answer that has to equal these, numbers. And so you'll say, that's really complex. How can it do it for an entire, language? And so that's where the weights come in, where it's this giant database. It's like, depending on which AI model you use, they're different sizes, and so it searches through the database and says, okay, this set of words usually means the person is asking about this or wants this kind of response. And so it's like pre-programmed, where it says, it goes down and it says, these associations are together, and then it returns the response. And so then I'm using Python, and so you can tell it, okay, look, I want 500 words returned. It takes forever. So they call it the weights. That's the database, and so I've been able to run it on my Linux box. My Linux box has 24 gigs of RAM, and then I gave it 50 gigs of swap space. And what swap space is, when it runs out of RAM, it will start using the hard drive as RAM. And the reason why you don't want that is because it's super slow. But what it does allow you to do is run programs that require a ton of RAM, and they won't crash. So they'll slow down significantly, but they won't crash. And so the databases, which I was talking about, they're the ones I've been able to work are about 20 gigs. So it's a 20 gigabyte database. And you might say, 20 gigabytes isn't that much, but it is a lot when it has to process the entire database, searching for what you probably mean. Because like if you watch a 20 gigabyte video, it's going through the video sequentially. It's not loading the entire thing and having to comprehend it all at once. So with videos, it's like, okay, I'm going to load this part into RAM. It doesn't load the entire video into RAM. It does it one at a time. And it's the same thing with video games. You might have a 50 gigabyte video game, but it loads a small, extremely small section at once. A small section. And then, as the game continues, it loads it different sections at a time. But you never have the entire video game stored in RAM, in terms of like console games like this and everything. And so that's not true with AI. So most of the newer AI stuff, it's really designed to work on the graphics card, because the graphics card can do simple calculations, but it can do thousands of them really quickly. And so the reason why graphics cards are designed to do that is because they're designed to be hooked up to a display. And so a display has, if it's HD, that's around 2 million pixels it has to compute. So graphics cards can do like huge amount of threads, and then, but it can't do really complex math. And so you pay for, a bigger graphics card because it can do a slightly more complex math per pixel. But so these programs are used to take advantage of the graphics card to do thousands of calculations, essentially searching the database and everything. But again, the database has to be stored in RAM, so it's not stored on the computer RAM, it's stored on the GPU RAM. And GPU RAM is hugely expensive. It's not something you can add on to a GPU. So the modern day AI stuff like GPT-3, I was looking into Neo X. You need 40 gigabytes. It's like not even 40. You need like 48 gigabytes of video RAM. And so like the graphics card I have now, the biggest one I have is AMD. It's a 550 XT, and that only has 4 gigabytes of RAM, and that costs $300. And so the other thing is, for the program to be processing, you need an NVIDIA card. They're kind of leading the way on applications using the graphics card, and not just so much for graphics processing, but for other forms of processing. So I do have an older one. I think it's like a 1040 Ti, and that has about, I think it's a gig of RAM. So over the week, I was learning how to process it. So it goes through the AI database 1 gigabyte at a time, and it's still really slow, but it can process it. But what it does is it has to load it into the computer RAM, and then it feeds it to the graphics card. So you still have to have 50 gigs of RAM. It's just not storing it all on the graphics card. And so it takes a long time. And so I've been playing around with different models, sticking with Neo, and then I tried OPT, which is from Facebook's Meta, and it has a whole collection of different sized models or databases that the AI searches through. And like the smaller ones, where it has, it's the smaller ones, it's measured in millions and billions. So the higher the number, the more accurate the responses and kind of the more creative the machine will be when it returns responses. And so there's like 20 billion, I'm sorry. 20 billion weights that it goes through, and that's a smaller one. The one everyone's talking about, GPT-3 from OpenAI, is like 175 billion weights that it has to sort through, and that's one of the ones that you need a minimum of. Well, you can't run OpenAI, that's a proprietary one. But GPT-3 is 20 billion, which is, you need the 50 gigs of RAM essentially for of graphics card RAM. And then and so then there's smaller ones. There's the old Neo, which I've been able to use pretty reliably, and so that's 2.7 billion, and that's kind of the best one I've had luck with, running it on a CPU and not a GPU. So before the stream started, I was running an AI on the Linux box, and so I just checked it did finish. So I'll read that in a second. Oh man. And I have been doing image AI stuff. And so I'm not doing like prompts. Everyone's complaining, oh, it steals from the artist and all this stuff, which I completely understand. And I agree with. If you type in, make a painting of blah, 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 that's not really your work. What I'm doing, and it's not like, oh, I'm so different, but what I'm doing is I'm taking my photography and I have it where I upload my photography to the AI model. And then I essentially just write a prompt saying what it is. So I'll upload a photo of an aerial photo of a lake, and then I just tell the AI, this is an aerial photo of a lake, and I tell it, turn it into a painting. And so I'm submitting my own artwork, and the AI is using it as a reference point, but then it's applying a style. And so that's why I think it's a little different. I'm submitting my artwork to it, and then I also do submit my computer-generated images and tell it to do that. So I'm going to be releasing those. So that's a little different. I'm not just adding text. But there is a problem with, the AI, and that's that, again, like I said, it's not intelligence, it's a huge database. So it searches through a database of images and says, okay, this image is kind of like that image, and it's kind of what you're asking me to write. And so then what's cool about the machine is that it combines it all together to kind of match up. And so there's a lot of things that we've had AI for. In Photoshop, we had content-aware fill, where if there was like a telephone pole in your background, you could highlight it, and then it would remove it. So artists and everyone has been using AI for a lot longer, it just wasn't branded as AI. Like we had that content to wear fill in Photoshop for, minimum. I think it came out in 2011. But yeah, I'm really excited for artificial intelligence, but to be used responsibly. Let's hide over here. And so going back to the text AI where you ask it a question, I'm planning on using it, for research. It's essentially like a research assistant. And so like I did some testing where it's like, what is a black hole? It tells me what it is, and then I read an article, and then it will say, oh, there's something else about a black hole, then I can research that. And so going back to how that's affecting Google, it's returning the actual results to questions, not questions that might be answered on a website or might not be. And so that would be difficult to put ads on because Google, their ads are from other websites, and the whole thing that AI does is it's not taking you to a website to find your answer. It's actually giving you the answer. And then the other reason why Google's kind of terrified about it is that there is so many open source artificial intelligence models that it's not like you can just buy one company and put it out of business. Because that's what a lot of tech companies do. If they can't compete, they'll buy the company and then just absorb it. And sometimes they'll just buy the company and then just destroy it, what they're doing. Not like delete, but it will cease to offer its services and everything. And so there's so many that work really well, and that the open source community is developing, that the cat's essentially out of the bag. I'm just gonna wait here. Come on. Thank goodness. But yeah, so it's not. My main goal is to run artificial intelligence locally. I don't really want to go to other websites. A lot of times, because it's such a huge computational thing, you have to usually pay websites to use their models, because it takes up a huge amount of resources and just processing power. And so that is a drawback. But my Python script, I write 5 questions on a text document, and then I come back 20 minutes later and it's answered them. So yeah, so once we get to the next cutscene, I'll read its responses. Whoa. This car repossession is... didn't really repo it good. But so far, I've had funny things where with the AI, you can tune its creativity. And so it will come back, not with like funny responses, but it's like, okay, I asked a question, and that's really interesting, really interesting response. Or you can have it being really strict where it will essentially just offer kind of basic responses. Basic responses, as in it will only use one or two sources, versus a creative response, which will kind of combine, 15 articles all into one. Okay, so here's the answers that I asked it to do right before stream. So, in my other AI model, I was using the smaller GPT Neo 2. And so I would ask it, what is a galaxy? And it would say, a galaxy is, it's a phone. It was one of the first ones Google came out with. And it's like, that's not what I mean. And so here I asked, what is a galaxy? I did a different model. It says, galaxy is a large collection of stars and gas. And that's pretty good. The stars are arranged in a spiral pattern and the gases are arranged in a disk. And then it repeats what it said. Pretty... It keeps on going on and on in a repeat. So it says the stars are arranged in a spiral pattern. Galaxies are made up of stars, gas, and dust. So that's one of the problems I have. Is it does answer the question, but when you want more in-depth ones, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it will give one sentence, and even though I asked for like 200 word response, it won't give it. It will just keep pasting the next thing because it can't find anything new to add. And that's why I said it's not really, AI isn't a conscious thing, it's a database search. And it just finds what it really thinks you want. It's just a probability thing. And then here's the next question. I asked it, what is a solar system? And it says a solar system is a collection of planets, moons, asteroids, comets, and other objects in the solar system. A solar system is a large known system of objects in the universe. And so I asked for 100 words, and then so the next paragraph is the solar system is made up of the sun, the planets, the moon, and the sun is a large object in the solar system. And then it kind of drifts off and says the sun is a star, which is a type of star that is made up of a core of hydrogen, helium, surrounded by a shell of helium and oxygen. The sun is the only star in the solar system. So it's specifically talking about our solar system, because there are different solar systems that have more than one star in them. I think they're called like binary systems. And so it doesn't really say that it's talking about only our solar system, but that's pretty good. So then the third paragraph, goes on to say the planets are the largest objects in the solar system, and the planets are made up of rock, icy, and gas-rich bodies. The planets are named after Greek gods, and then it tells you what planets they are. And so it says Earth, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Oh man, it's old school. It thinks Pluto is still. It thinks Pluto's still a planet, which it's been removed. And it says the moons are the smallest objects in the solar system. The moons are made up of ice, rock, and gas. The moons are named after the Greek gods. The moons are the Titan, uh, Enceladus, Ganymede, Callisto, which I think those are Jupiter's planets. And then it goes on to say the asteroids are the smallest object in the solar system, which is weird because it said that about moons. And the asteroids are made up of rock and ice. I missed what I'm supposed to do. Was I supposed to change clothes? So then it goes on to say, okay, so then says asteroids are the smallest object. Asteroids are made up of rock, ice. The asteroids are named after Greek gods. The asteroids are Paralis and Aries. And then I'll read what is a black hole later. Yeah, so it's essentially returning pretty good results. And the settings for the answers I did for this one, I said, don't be creative at all. Just tell me. It essentially says, return it from the most probable one source thing. Don't combine multiple written things. Employee of the month. Okay, so Okay, so I asked the AI, what is a black hole? And the answer was a black hole is a region of space where gravity is so strong that nothing, not even light, can escape. Black holes are formed when a star collapses under its own gravity. The gravitational pull is so strong that not even light can escape. And then it just kind of repeated that over and over and over again until it reached the 100-word length I asked it for. So that's pretty good. I mean, it's not pretty good that it copy and pasted everything in order to fill the 100-word requirement I gave it, but I mean, that's running locally. I made a video that I occasionally stream on Twitch. I haven't publicly put it on YouTube. I am going to. But what I do is the servers I get, which I refer to the Linux boxes, they're discontinued. I'm pretty sure they're from like companies that get rid of them all at once, because like they'll show up on eBay and there'll be like 200 of them. But they're blades, and so they're meant to have an enclosure, and then you can put like, I don't know, 50 of them in a single enclosure, and then they process a bunch of stuff. But a blade it's the motherboard, it's CPU, it's RAM, and it's a hard drive. And so I figured out, following different tutorials, that you can get the blade to run as though it's its own computer, its own server. And so I do that. And so the reason why I do that is because they're essentially old and busted, and you're supposed to have so many different parts to run it. It's like really cheap. Like I can get you can get 2 processors. It's 2 processors on one motherboard. And so I do 12 cores. It's 6 and 6. And then it's Intel, so there's hyper-threading. So it's 24 threads. And then you can get them with like 20 gigs of RAM, and that will only cost $150. But you do have to buy a power supply, and you have to wire it yourself, which is the dangerous part. So I usually do animations with it. So I submit the things I animate, the photos, which I call flotations, the video edits. They all render on the Linux boxes. They don't render on my PC. Because then I can edit like 50 things and have them render, and then I can still do live streams without having to pause. I'm not kidding. I think there's a guy like right here. Oh no, he's been cut. Oh man, I died. First death of the game. Oh man. I was talking about how games they run a small amount at a time. But I have GTA San Andreas on my phone. And I have a little controller that connects up to the phone. It's like the Backbone, but it was like half the price. And it's from Razer. I don't see the gas trails. But yeah, I did a road trip in October and oh man. I forgot how to. The biker escaped. Couldn't climb the thing. There we go. Man, it was pretty funny because it was like, wow. I remember playing San Andreas with my friend on the PS2, and then I have it running on my iPhone. And then I was like, it's not just running on my iPhone, it's running off my iPhone with a battery. Like, I could do a couple of hours without having to charge. And I was like, wow, things have really gotten better in terms of like computational stuff. This is like not ideal. cops after me. I don't understand how he survived that. Trying not to get busted. This isn't a good hiding spot. I'm gonna go hide under the pier. Yeah, we lost them. Lost the coppers. I had to take a short break after this. I had to grab a snack. I'm like starving. I haven't eaten breakfast yet. Okay, so it's weird. I asked what is a nebula. It only gave me one sentence. It said a nebula is a cloud of gas that surrounds a star. And then I asked what is a star. It said a star is a so then it said a star is a massive object. In the universe, a star, blah, 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 blah. Oh, I read these already. Well, this is a funny one. Now the question was, what is a moon? And it said a moon is a big rock in the sky. So sometimes it finds a source of information that's just a comedian. But I'll be right back. Strangers and freaks. I was having some kind of skin reaction to something, and my doctor gave me this gave me like this, I don't know what it was. Anyway, it was something to help itchiness, but it was a pill. And so I took it for the first time yesterday. Oh my goodness. Today, I don't know, it just feels like my mouth is falling apart. I guess it's like extreme dry mouth, but so that's going on. Trade one problem for another. But Saturday, I had all these plans. I was planning it for a couple weeks. I've been getting serious into astrophotography, and so I have a go-to mount, which is, you put the telescope on it, and then you can program the computer to go to a certain star. So I had that, and then I have kind of a dummy one, which is just rotates to match how the Earth rotates. It can do long exposures. And so using that system, I can use 3 cameras at once for 3 different points in the sky. And yeah, so I've done a couple of long exposures with one thing, but then I'm working on my Newtonian telescope, which I got from a thrift store, and it was $40. But I haven't been able to test anything. It has been non-stop clouds since December. Like, since the beginning of December, there was one day which I did take photos in December, and it was nice, but that was the only day. So I couldn't really do, creative testing things out. I was just getting a hang of it. But still hasn't been a day without clouds. So I was getting all excited because on Saturday and Sunday there would be no clouds. So I have a couple of apps and they tell me, no clouds, but it's not a good day for astrophotography. I'm going to the wrong place. So I was like, So I did try to stay up all night, where it said, oh, it's going to clear up at 2 in the morning, at 3 in the morning. Do, 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 do. How do I raise and lower? Nope. Accidentally got in, out. We'll just keep going. But yeah, so I stayed up till 3 in the morning, and I actually built this observatory, which, don't get excited. It's not like a big thing. It's not like a dome or anything. But I built it out of PVC. It's 6 feet tall, which, oh my goodness. My world was shattered. So I've been telling all the doctors and everything forever that I'm 6 feet tall. And so I built this, observatory, which is just like a hut. And that you can sit in, and then if there's light rain, it will stop it. Because the one telescope, which is a big ordeal, I had to it needs to be connected to a PC. And so I ordered this telescope, and it straight up lied. It said it had an app. You could do it with iOS, and then you could do it with Android and everything. But no, what they failed to mention is you have to have a tablet, which I do have. do have a tablet, but it's old. It's running like iOS 9. It's like the 3rd generation iPad. And so I can't add the app to it or anything. And it's like, oh, this is dreadful. Because the only laptop I have is a MacBook Pro from 2011, which I highly recommend. Well, not now, but if you like to, hack things and everything, it's the best one, because you can put a solid state hard drive in there. With SATA, you can take out the disk drive, and that's what I did. And so I had the internal solid state hard drive and then a huge mechanical hard drive. For when I travel, I can put my photos and videos straight on there. So that's kind of what I did with that laptop. And that was the last one you could do it. They came out with another MacBook Pro, which was pretty cool, the 2015 one, because it had like 4 USB 3.0s, 2 Thunderbolt 2.0s ports, and that thing was a beast. But the solid state drive was soldered on. It's part of the motherboard, so you can't replace anything. So that sucked. But so, this telescope project, these photos, astrophotography got into, already went over budget because the app that I needed to use only runs on Windows. And so I have Windows PCs, but I don't have any Windows laptop. So I had to buy another license of Windows 10, and then I installed it on the MacBook Pro. So one hard drive is Windows, the other hard drive is OS X, the Apple's operating system. So I did that, and then got the telescope to work and everything. But so that's why I had to build the hut, because I needed to have like a table outside, and I didn't want like anything to happen onto the, like starts raining and then destroys the laptop. And you have to have the laptop connected the entire time to this telescope. The telescope has a Wi-Fi hotspot that you join, so it's not like it has to be plugged in. So that's nicer. And then the telescope also runs on battery, which is okay, but I have it set up to where I can plug it in. I have a battery generator. Not generator, but it's like a little power station. They call it a solar generator because you can connect up solar panels and then it recharges those. So I built the hut Saturday night at 5. The sun sets at like 5:15. So I built it in twilight and then just waited. So I had a cup of coffee in the morning. And I had a cup of coffee in the afternoon. And then I had another cup of coffee at like 1 a.m. And I'm just waiting. And so while it did say there were no clouds, and there wasn't cloud, it was so humid that there was just a layer of, kind of like white fog in the atmosphere. So you couldn't see anything, no stars or anything. So then yesterday, I went to bed and I slept for like 4 hours. Because I had all that caffeine, it was difficult to sleep. And then yesterday I woke up and did stuff, and then I had this huge like migraine with aura. I don't really get the headaches anymore, but I do get the auras. And so it's kind of like the research I've been doing on it. It's like a seizure, but not a real seizure, but of like your optical center in your brain. And so you get visual disturbances. I get really nauseous. And then I can't look at light straight on, or else it feels like the world is spinning. And sometimes I've lost vision in my eyes and everything. So that happened. I was like, oh, I have to go lay down. So I went and laid down, fell asleep from like 2 to 5. 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. Woke up and I was still like so tired. Like everything was out of whack. And like I had to drink another cup of coffee. Like I was so tired, but I like couldn't sleep. It was really weird. So then with the next cup of coffee, I felt a little bit better. But it was like, wow. You know, back in the day, I could do an all-nighter, no problem. Be fine the next day, get a couple hours of sleep. Now that I'm older, it's just like, it knocked me out. I'm fine today, but I needed a full day to recover. And like I had planned to do astrophotography from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. So I only did about half of what I planned. And I almost didn't survive that the next day. So I'm still waiting for, the night sky to become visible. There's a rumor, a forecast, that the stars might come out again next Saturday. Today's Monday, so I was like, of course I have to wait a whole nother week. Oh, that's not the car I was looking for. I'm looking for a motorcycle. What? I wasn't supposed to shoot him. Yeah, so the real thing I have to get back to doing is I'm working on kind of a monthly issue, and I haven't really decided. I keep switching what I'm going to put into it. I'm not sure. What I've kind of decided is that it will be like all the photos I take in the month. Before they were going to be like these huge projects, but now it's going to be like different sections. Different sections of projects I've completed during the month versus like 400 photos of just one project. So I was going to do like 700 photos from Alaska. So I'm deciding not to do that. I'm going to do it in short sections because I'm going to be writing some articles about Alaska, and then as they come out, they're going to be pointing to the issue that they come out in. And then I'm working on this other project that I'm gonna get ready to release. I'll release it maybe Wednesday. It will come out Tuesday or Wednesday, so either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. But it's some more NFTs, but I've been doing pixel art, and so that's gonna come out. And then I've written a small description for each NFT, what it's for the pixel art. And it was nice writing again. I haven't done creative writing in a while, but I wrote like some really short story backgrounds and stuff about each pixel art piece. So I'm gonna render a video of that, and then it's gonna go on, Twitter or Instagram. And then YouTube as well. And I'm also going to be I have a video hosting site, Flotations Films, and then I'm going to be putting it on there. So people can, it's really designed for torrenting. So you can torrent my videos and stuff in 4K and everything. If I release the video in 4K. Some of it I'm going to release in HD and stuff. So you can torrent, or you can stream, or do a direct download from that site. Gross. It says he has no beef. And then I've been finding these deals at thrift stores, mainly clothing and stuff. And like, there are these clothing items that they're like never been worn, and it's like high-end brands. And so I'm gonna start flipping them. You know, there's this company I found that you send them the clothes, and then they sell it, and they give you a cut. And so I'm just gonna do that. I thought I'd start, an eBay thing, but I decided, I just have someone else do it. He's got a bad feeling. And so I have the AI generated more stuff. So I told it to be slightly more creative than what I read before. So I'll read those in a second. Can't go into Michael's house yet. something car in there. Creeping around the back. And we got the car. Now we're stealing it because the guy was worried it was going to get damaged. But we're probably going to do more damage driving it. Oh. Oh no, I'm getting hijacked. No, failed. Failed. Can't even crash into a building. There we go. $5,000 a month is a lot. And success. So I think we'll end it here. Thanks everyone for coming out. I'm going to be releasing more visual audio books and stuff in the coming month, and we'll be doing live readings. So I'm going to become an AM streamer. Stream in the morning and then do a rerun during the day. I want to thank everyone for coming out. See ya. Bye-bye.